This is Optimal Finance Daily, episode 2173. Health Insurance, Things to Consider When Choosing Your Coverage, by Andrea Joy of SavingJoyfully.com. And I'm your host and personal finance enthusiast, Diana Merriam. Let's get right to today's post and start optimizing your life. Health Insurance, Things to Consider When Choosing Your Coverage, by Andrea Joy of SavingJoyfully.com. Choosing the right health insurance plan can be a huge challenge every year. I've worked in medical billing and dealt with insurance companies for many years. Despite knowing the industry and dealing with insurance companies, I still struggle with choosing my coverage. It's not black and white, and the plans often change drastically from year to year. So how can you know the best coverage to choose for you and your family? Health insurance, choosing the right plan. So how can you know that you're choosing the best insurance plans for your healthcare needs? If only you could understand the basics of selecting your health plan so it won't be as stressful. Well, the truth is you can understand the basics and make a more informed decision this year by just learning some simple facts. Health insurance, choosing the right plan during open enrollment. Open enrollment is already here for me, as it is for most of you. Working in medical billing, I'm passionate about helping others understand. I hate seeing the devastating costs associated with a lack of knowledge or planning. Many people simply don't know enough about their insurance coverage or what's the best plan for them. So today, I'm hoping to clear up some of the confusion surrounding these decisions. To be completely honest, every health insurance plan is so different. It's impossible to explain each policy correctly to you in one post. I'll provide you with the basics today and a few additional reminders that may be important as you select your coverage. The basics of health insurance coverage. This post was not created to advise you on what plan you should select. When you finish listening to this post, I hope you'll know where to find the answers to your questions and determine your own personal insurance needs. What is a deductible? A deductible is an amount you pay for healthcare services that are approved coverage services before your insurance plan starts to pay. With a $1,000 deductible, for example, you pay the first $1,000 of these services covered by your plan out of your pocket. What's coinsurance? The percentage of costs on a healthcare service that you must pay is determined by each policy. Let's say that your percentage is 20%, which is pretty typical. This will be the coinsurance amount owed by you after you've met your yearly deductible amount. What's a copayment? A specific amount is set by each insurance company and paid for by the patient or subscriber at each doctor's office visit, urgent care, ER, with each prescription refill, etc. This is a set amount owed by the patient before the insurance picks up their portion. Just for example, when visiting a family physician, you may pay $20 for each visit, and when visiting a specialist, your coverage may require a $40 copay. Do not opt out of healthcare coverage. I highly encourage you to never opt out of insurance coverage unless you have other coverage already. Unless someone else is covering you under their insurance plan, this can be a very bad decision. You should also never just choose the cheapest policy because of the out-of-pocket costs without any further consideration. You can't predict the future, and this can be a very costly mistake. Consider whether you would have the money to cover an expensive financial disaster on your own. The costs associated with having no insurance coverage can be devastating. If you fall ill or get injured, you could end up in a terrible mess financially. These costs can be far more detrimental to your financial life than the savings you could experience each paycheck. Why do I feel so strongly about this, and why do I warn you? Trust me, I know firsthand from my own experience that this will be a bad choice. I was in my early 20s, and I felt that I was overall pretty healthy. I almost opted out of insurance coverage that year and was warned similarly, so I selected the cheapest coverage possible. That year, it was discovered that I had sick sinus syndrome, a heart condition requiring me to have a pacemaker placed. This was a lesson learned the hard way, prompting me to warn others of this type of decision. Is it worth the devastating financial consequences that you may experience if you choose to opt out or choose the lower plan? I also give you this warning as someone who works in medical billing and sees the devastating consequences frequently now in my line of work. Things to remember when choosing health insurance. Benefit advisors or counselors. If you're offered the opportunity to speak with a benefits counselor, you should schedule an appointment. You and I don't have the knowledge that these professionals have to offer, and this meeting can save you significantly should you find that you have any questions regarding the policies available and the best options for you. Meeting with a benefits counselor offers you the ideal situation to get some of those questions answered. Carefully consider your coverage options. High deductible plans may be the best option in some cases. For example, if you meet the deductible each year or you expect to use your insurance coverage a lot, the percentage owed towards coinsurance may be covered at 90% with the high deductible plan, leaving the remainder owed by you after the insurance process at 10%. The other plans offered may cover only 80% or 60% depending on the plan. This can equal much larger out-of-pocket costs than what that high deductible would have cost you. In situations where you utilize the insurance more frequently throughout the year, a plan like this may be beneficial. If you're worried about paying the high deductible, start planning and put away some extra savings that would help cover the deductible cost. Will you need the extras? Most companies offer dental, vision, accident coverage, life insurance coverage, cancer or critical illness coverage, hospital indemnity, etc. Some of these can benefit certain people in certain situations. If you foresee needing any of these or have any questions about signing up for any other plans in addition, this is where I would once again encourage you to be sure to meet with a benefits counselor and ask questions. Is an FSA, HRA, or HSA an option? When you've been given the option to put money into an FSA or flexible spending account, be sure to ask questions about how you can use the funds in this account. If you have an HRA, a health reimbursement account, or HSA, health savings account, for your medical coverage, this may also be a valid question. At my current job, I have both an FSA and an HRA. These policies both have an account set up with funds deposited to help pay my out-of-pocket costs. There are stipulations as to what these funds can be used for and how you could gain access to them. Gather as much information as possible if you're considering either of these plans. Do you want to know in advance how you can access the funds? You'll also want to know what these funds can and cannot be used on. Meet with a benefits advisor if available. For additional questions before choosing your coverage, I highly encourage you to schedule an appointment to meet with a benefits representative or counselor when available. Make a list of questions to ask when you meet with them, and don't hold back even if you think it might be unimportant. If you have questions regarding your out-of-pocket costs for procedures or services after you've enrolled, contact the insurance company directly. Any insurance carrier should have a member representative team that would be able to provide details specific to your current plan. After hearing this article, my sincere hope is that you will now feel more prepared to make these big insurance decisions this year. Choosing insurance coverage is never something to take lightly, but it doesn't have to confuse you every year or make you worry. Do some research, meet with an advisor if possible, and make the most informed decision possible. If you follow these steps each year, you can always be sure you've made the best choice for your needs. You just listened to the post titled Health Insurance, Things to Consider When Choosing Your Coverage by Andrea Joy of SavingJoyfully.com. Choosing the right health insurance coverage for you is no easy task, and it's highly personal. It's more challenging when you have specific healthcare needs or need to make sure you choose a plan where your current providers are in-network and covered. Since leaving my W-2 job 2 years ago, I'm often asked how I figured out health insurance. I'm in the fortunate position to be relatively healthy, so my main goal when selecting a plan was choosing one with the lowest costs and access to invest in an HSA. Since quitting my job, I've purchased insurance off the exchange or healthcare.gov. The options are very state-specific, but I've opted for a plan that costs me $350 per month. It has a $6,000 deductible and out-of-pocket max, which is much higher than any deductible I've had while I was working, but I've prepared for that with adequate savings. Access to an HSA has been important to me because it's the only investment vehicle that has a triple tax advantage, and that you contribute tax-free, it grows tax-free, and you can withdraw tax-free when used for qualified medical expenses. To fully optimize this account, you could pay your medical expenses with your cash on hand and allow tax-free compound interest to keep working its magic in your HSA. You'd simply keep the receipts, since there's no limitation on when a healthcare expense is incurred and when it's reimbursed. And if cash gets tight for living expenses at some point, you can submit the receipts for reimbursement. That should do it for another edition of Optimal Finance Daily. I'll be back tomorrow as usual, so I'll see you there on the Wednesday show where your optimal life awaits.